Arm drags are, I think, one of my favorite moves to use in self-defense. I think they're super effective and super dangerous, but also super easy to get wrong. So, to show you guys and myself how to do them much better, I brought in a guy with 2 arms. David Heineman from Stay Safe Martial Arts flew all the way over to Austin to show us how to do the arm drag as well as a few other things. So, David, please show me how to use your arms.
Two biggest things that I think you get out of an arm drag is 1, you disrupt your opponent or your attacker's attacks, and 2, you expose the back, which for both sport and self-defense is exactly what you want. And then if you add in like weapons and everything, then the arm drag becomes that much more important. But let's start from like a sport perspective. And so typically, again, if we're talking like, again, I'm a Jiu-Jitsu background, so Jiu-Jitsu matches we start, and then immediately it's, all this hand fighting. And as I always say, most of the time nowadays guys clap hands and somebody's always going to sit right away. So when you do get somebody that wants to engage with you, a lot of times out of the gate, you're going to see guys kind of start keeping their arms tight. That's kind of like the warm where arms are tight in here. And again, it may not even be a way to defend the arm drag in their head. They're just keeping their arms tight. But as we start kind of grip fighting, you get guys start overreaching, elbows start kind of flaring. And so a lot of times when I'm playing in a competition, I will kind of just focus on these centered grips to keep their elbows slowly start expanding out. And once I get that, or if they start grabbing onto me and I get wrist control, this is now my opportunity to set up for the arm drag. And so the basic premise when you're setting it up is I want to get the same side wrist control so this way I can start manipulating the arm. And again, I have to understand that this guy is obviously going to be fully resisting, but I'm not looking for a long opportunity to hold this. All I need to do is just simply push it over here in line with my opposite arm. So it's very quick, and I'm here. And even a lot of times, even if they're kind of just reaching and I'm not doing anything, it can just be a simple, quick, clear, and I pull through. And so it doesn't take much to utilize the arm drag in the sport environment. The problem is that a lot of people don't understand the minor details of the arm drag. And the biggest one is, first of all, I don't pull it into my chest because I'm not really changing anything. You can easily just square right back up with me. So it is the idea that I do have to pull the arm all the way across. Now, the part 2 of that is I see a lot of guys doing this, and then they just start kind of chasing the back, and there's a lot of space. And so if you have a guy that's real quick on the gun, the moment I start arm dragging, if they realize that there's space, they're just going to instantly square back up, and now you're going to kind of end up exactly just like this. Or as I arm drag, he's going to re-arm drag me, and then again, you square back up. So it's a big component of this is that when you do the arm drag, I have to immediately step into it. So it's one where I off step, as I pull, I step right back in. So at least at the very minimal, until I can get this opposite grip, if he does try to square back up with me, we're going to kind of play this ring around a rosy game, and at some point, I'm going to be able to get this grip, and if I acknowledge, like, okay, I just can't get it, then at least I can square back up and no harm, no foul, but I didn't put myself at any jeopardy. Now, when I started doing a little bit more of the arm drags in self-defense, I've altered the way that I've arm dragged a little bit. So if I'm going strictly for a back take, I want to make sure that I step in and behind the shoulder. And then immediately I'm looking either for the far hip or the far lat. So whichever one I can get my hands onto. But once I do this, I'm going to instantly now just kind of tuck and pull everything together and slowly just kind of start stutter stepping over until I can get a grip lock. So now at the same time as I got a grip lock, I've also now completely trapped one side of the arm, which again, if we're talking sport, my full sequence is going to be just to dump you and go right to the ground. When it comes to self-defense, on the other hand, you don't always necessarily want to go here right away, especially like if I can tell that they're reaching for something, whatever. Sometimes, especially like if we're trying to detain them or get them down to the ground, it might be better for me to do this arm drag, but instead of going straight to the back, I want to make sure that I step with it. So I'm still getting behind the shoulder, but now we're both facing the same direction, and I immediately start applying pressure so that I kind of bump his balance a little bit. Now I can start working towards like a 2-on-1. So on one end, for sport, I'm utilizing an arm drag to get to the back. Self-defense, I'm utilizing an arm drag to get to like a 2-on-1. So obviously, like, you can use both in sport, you can use both in self-defense. It's just the motion, the mechanic, and everything is the same. Just one option, I step in, one option, I turn with, but the pressure's still there, the grip control, no matter where you're at, is still there, and they can both lead to endless amounts of things. Now, for sport, you can also set up arm drags for if you want to do like takedowns. So sometimes, I might not take the back, I might arm drag just to kind of clear the hand and the thread of like, if I shoot for W, you're going to guillotine me. So instead, if I arm drag, now I'm clear for single legs, ankle picks, whatever. And by the time you realize what's going on, I'm already there.
The thing that I noticed that worked really well, like you're talking about the disruption was when you were dragging me, you weren't walking me.
Correct.
Right? Like it wasn't here. Because then if a lot of times when I practice people or when I do it, I'll like move people, but that's not disrupting. You were like, no, I want you to turn.
Right.
And that for me felt like your job was 50% done at that point. Like you could have just done that and then walked away, and I'm like, Jesus.
Well, and that's like the thing is like when you do a proper arm drag, even if you're faking it, like just the motion of this.
That right there.
That right there, and it's minimal.
Yeah.
The problem is like when people try and like pull, they're dealing with your full resistance, or they arm drag and then they try to like.
Yeah, they're like.
I do a quick jerk. Now again, the only time I'll maintain this grip is if I'm coming here, and I'll keep this as my backup as I transition to the back. But when I do like the front, once my shoulder hits, this slides down right away, and then I hook. It's a very big component for transitions. It's a big component for control. If we're talking like, let's say like law enforcement, like like hey, I'm gonna try and cuff you. This guy starts trying to like resist a little bit. Now I'm here. Now I'm in a position, no harm, no foul, no damage. This is now fully locked. And now from here, again, now I can either start working, sweeps to get you down. I prefer to kind of start squaring back up at an angle. And now get your knuckles to touch the ground. And then from there, we can go to a whole array of self-defense positioning. But if you understand how to utilize it, it works great. It can also be the idea, like if I'm trying to just deal with this arm for whatever reason and you start posting on me with the other arm, it's just a transition. So arm drags are there. They're there, and we have a video coming out soon talking about arm dragging from different positions, at least in like a sport perspective. But you can arm drag standing, you can arm drag guard, you can arm drag half guard. You can arm drag just about anywhere with the exact same intentions in mind, either to subdue, control, or get to the back, expose. It's such a disruption of sport and self-defense that the more I've started to utilize it, even if I don't do it, if I just do it to get you to like step back and like thank you for the like, but it's just the idea. And again, the more you train with like a different environment, or like when we do knife situations, like being able to control, if we're kind of like in this baseball grip, because this is kind of like when we did our knife training.
Keep David ranting.
What am I ranting?
I'm not telling you, I don't care.
I got nothing to say.
Oh God. I have a knife. There we go. So, we talked about a knife, we better show a knife. Just FYI, so I don't get demonetized, it's fake. It's not real. Blunt edge. This is one of my favorite toys, literally a movie prop. But it gets the message across, especially because I'm kind of an asshole with my students and I don't tell them that it's fake. I just pull it out and, oh my God, see all their faces. But this is a side tangent, which is what people are here for. This makes things real,
yes.
Right? Like if we're talking purely training, arm dragging from here, you can be super lazy because nothing's gonna happen. From here, there we go. From here, even if you know this is fake, this can hurt a lot, right?
Yeah, so like, again, like, and I'll do a quick side tangent. A lot of the self-defense that I've learned, it's phenomenal when you can take stuff that's a normal human reaction and build off of it. And that's kind of where I start with a lot of my self-defense, that I don't know how to approach a situation. It's kind of like, well, let me see what you do, because then I can see normal reactions. When people see a knife, and also like it comes at you like this, like the hips back, the arching, like this is normal, right? This is your baseball grip. This is just a very common reaction. But then people don't know what to do from here. And so a lot of times, again, guys are going to start pulling that hand back, and now like the first goal is I got to keep this grip. So when you get that initial like, oh crap, there's a knife, this is my foul zone. And I just have to drive my head, again, don't knock yourself out, but drive your head right into the chest, right into the side of the neck, and just start putting pressure. And I'm heavy on this arm. I'm not necessarily trying to drag him down right away. It depends on the situation. But if we're here and I want to do the arm drag from here, again, I have to utilize that shoulder as I turn, and it's this. Now I'm here. And now from this position, now it's, however I want to deal with situations from here, whether I want to start applying pressure, whether I want to start kind of walking you, whether I want to work trips from here. I don't necessarily want to lock up and feed over here because I'm handing you to switch it to your other hand. So I do want to keep it over here as much as possible, but it leads into options, and I won't go too much. That's not
different video.
Anytime someone grabs even without the knife, someone grabs your wrist, right? Simple wrist grab, like sure, quick strike, and I'm here. Now, if we want to touch on like a multiple attacker thing, you can use arm drags in a different manner, all right? If I'm fighting you here and I catch wind that someone's behind me and like we're tied up or whatever and I know someone's coming, I might just utilize an arm drag just to pass you by and now I'm behind you. So it doesn't have to be an arm drag to control. It can be an arm drag to transition to I got space, or here, see you, and just, you know, take off. So it's a good way to pass.
The problem with that is the arm drag is a jiu-jitsu move, and you never use jiu-jitsu against multiple opponents.
Correct.
That's true, right?
That is true.
I think the idea of taking your arm and putting it across your body is like a universal concept.
Yes.
We think about it universally. We think about it in a grappling concept where like I want to put your hand there.
Right.
But if you want to put it in more of a Wing Chun kind of concept, they do the same thing. Give me like a 1-2, boom, here, right? That
Yeah, the brush and grab.
right there.
Yeah.
That's not just a Wing Chun thing. That's like Kenpo. That's karate. Everyone has that version of it because that concept it's universal. It's simple.
Right.
I think we're good on that. I think I personally am probably the best at arm drags now. I stole all your information. Hopefully all my viewers did.
Take it.
Really appreciate you helping me out with this.
Of course.
Make sure to subscribe. David Heineman, Stay Safe Martial Arts. His videos are going to be up here somewhere or over here. I still never figured that out. Make sure you're subscribed to me as well, Combat Self-Defense. Guys, if you're looking for some of the best training gear on the planet, I don't know if you could tell, we're big Combat Corner fans. If you open up the description box down there at the bottom, you'll find a link, not just my own, but also David's. Pick up whatever you want, apparel, gear, flags, anything you want down there, as well as the Combat Self-Defense store if you want to get that. Guys, I want to thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for the hard work yet to be done, and I'll see you next time.